Hi everyone, good evening. Very pleased to have you for a new webinar this week. So today we're going to be talking about the future of restaurants. And we actually have a lot of guest speakers. So we have Cristina Reni here, who's going to be our main host today. So Cristina, she's a communications and food expert with experience in management in international projects focused on social innovation and sustainability. Over the past 5 years, she's been working for a non-profit organization called Food for Soul, sponsored by the chef Massimo Bottura, and she's passionate about the food system and social development. She came to us a few weeks ago and said, guys, let's organize something about restaurants, and we put this session together. We have a few more speakers today, Bryan from Deliverart, Filippo from Miscusi, and Apollonia from Poilâne Bakery. So every one of them is going to introduce himself shortly. Before I start with the session, just a few housekeeping rules. I will just ask everyone, because there are a lot of people attending today, to make sure you keep your microphone mute at any time. If you have any questions, you can use the chat box at the bottom. We'll try to run the session first, and then we keep plenty of time for Q&A at the end of the session. Last few words about myself. I'm Max Leveau. I'm the CEO of Forward Fooding. For those who don't know us, Forward Fooding, we are a collaborative platform for the food and drink industry. What we mostly do is consulting for corporate clients to enable collaboration with startups. We also have a data platform called the Food Tech Data Navigator that we provide to investors, accelerators, startups, and also corporates to allow them to have access to a global database of startups and insights about the industry. And last but not least, we also try to support the community of startups globally in the food tech sector to give them visibility through events like today or other initiatives. So Cristina, the scene is yours.
Thank you, Max. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I'm very pleased to be moderating this conversation. So I think I'm not going to speak very long because as Max mentioned, we have 3 different speakers. Also, the point of this webinar and conversation was to get together different points of view, as we really believe that we have an amazing opportunity of facing challenges within the restaurant industry. So today we have, as I mentioned, 3 different actors. I would like to start by introducing Bryan. Bryan is the COO of Deliverart. So Bryan, can you tell us a bit about your background, introduce Deliverart, and maybe tell us how the idea come about this food delivery platform, food delivery manager platform based in Italy?
Okay, hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be here, and thanks to you, Cristina and Max, for hosting this event. My name is Bryan Natavio, and I'm one of the co-founder of Deliverart. A few years back, I had 3 restaurants in Rome, and while I was working there, I saw that there is a huge digital gap between demand and offer in the food delivery sector. Just think about how easy it is for the customer to order food at home. They can place an order using one of the multiple food delivery platforms, order through the restaurant website, or even call the restaurant on the phone. And on the other hand, think how hard it is to manage all the incoming food delivery orders. Finding the perfect match between the restaurant's availabilities and the customer's request, it's a hard task. That's why we came up with Deliverart. Deliverart, it's an all-in-one solution to consolidate all the home delivery orders a restaurant receives into a single cloud platform. And also, it is a complete suite of tools to help them manage their own in-house deliveries.
Thank you, Bryan. Well,
Thank you.
Now we go from Rome to Milano, and we have Filippo, that is the founder of Miscusi. So Filippo, if you want to tell us a bit about how Miscusi started and also your expansion in Italy, it would be lovely.
Yes, thanks Cristina and Max for hosting me as well. So all that came about Miscusi was 2016. I met my co-founder. We were working in a digital startup together, and we were fed up about the digital industry. What happened was that one day he started telling me that after some visiting in German restaurants for working experience, it was at Vapiano. So Vapiano is one of the Italian biggest chain in the world, and we come with the idea that there was no brand about pasta. So Italian, 100% own brand about pasta. And so pasta is one of the most beloved product in the world. So we started with the idea that starting from Italy, from Milan, was the good direction for a real Italian brand. And if people in Milan started loving this kind of food, we could manage to roll out then in whole world. Yeah, that's about the brief story about Miscusi. We have now 10 restaurants. So this year, regardless COVID, I think we are going to open 2 more. But our goal was even to come to 18 restaurants. So I think 2021 is going to be a better year for us. Our purpose is to make people happy by spreading Mediterranean lifestyle. The Mediterranean lifestyle means that we Italian, our roots, our heritage is based on Mediterranean diet, and pasta is I think the first product at the baseline of the pyramid of Mediterranean diet. And what we want to do is to open stores in Italy and in the world to spread this lifestyle.
Good, thank you, Filippo. Well, and coming from one, I would say, Italian value, very strong, we can also pass to the next one, that is bread. And today we have also Apollonia Polane from Poilâne Bakery, that it's a very established institution, but at the same time has this idea of expanding and at the same time taking bread to people's houses and restaurants. So Apollonia, if you want to tell us a bit about your background and about Poilâne.
All right, so my name is Apollonia Polane. I am a bread baker, and I am the 3rd generation in charge of my family's business. We're a sourdough bakery that was established in 1932 in the heart of Paris, but we've been in London for the past 20 years. And we've been retailing across the world wherever we can ship the bread, virtually since the 70s when my father expanded our retailers network. What we do at Poilâne is we serve our clients in stores, and we also deliver to restaurants and to retailers that carry our bread. In a nutshell, I view bread as this essential ingredient that feeds both your body, but also your mind.
Thank you for that introduction, Apollonia. So to start the conversation, as you see, we have 2 people from the restaurant industry and, well, the hospitality industry, I will call it. And then we have Bryan, that it's more from the technological side. So my first question would be to Bryan. So Bryan, over the last years, we have seen how the food delivery offer and demand has increased, creating a new route for restaurants, but at the same time also creating a complete new business model. And we have seen how many different activities have opened dark kitchens, cloud kitchens, or only delivery only restaurants. So since you're interacting on a daily basis with many restaurant owners, can you walk us through the challenges that restaurants are facing when it comes to embracing food delivery technology?
Oh, sure. Let's just say that the rise of food delivery platforms and providers has completely changed and reshaped the market. Every day, there are more and more people ordering food at home, and there's an increasing demand of home deliveries. And this increasing demand found many of the restaurants unprepared to cope with this new kind of business. Restaurants that never did home deliveries were forced to join this trend. The result is that many of them were unprepared, unstructured, and are unfortunately unhappy. Food delivery platforms are an easy option to start your deliveries. They put your business online, get the marketing going. They also take care of the deliveries if you want to, but not everything that glitters is gold. On the long run, this is the solution that brings the most disadvantages. Just to give you some, restaurants are hit with deceptive practices. They are hit with crushing fees from 15% up to 60% on every order. They have no direct access to their own customer database and their data. They also have to pay marketing fees for placement in search results. And as per the writers, we all know that they are working with boom or bust pay with no guaranteed minimum wage. So many entrepreneurs are scared about starting their own deliveries. In-house deliveries, it is indeed not cheap or easy, but in the long run, it can cost less than the delivery app fees and give restaurant owners more control. Restaurants are somewhat still a traditional business. Many of their processes are still the same as they were 20 years ago, but they need to digitize their work in order to keep the pace of a fast-changing market. And technologies like Deliverart and others will give them a hand in the near future.
And within those challenges that you have, like encounter, there's the ones that you have mentioned. It's about the use of technology, no?
Yeah.
And at the same time, what are the other operational challenges connected with adapting to that technology that you have seen? Like, for example, changing the menu. So it arrives a better quality product, or things like, for example, in Italy, a delivery of pasta. I haven't seen this. What are these other changes or challenges that you have seen?
Well, as I was telling you before, restaurants were unprepared. In Italy, we're kind of strict about the pasta, how it's cooked, how it should be served. So it's pretty weird to have pasta delivered at home, but I'm no one to tell anyone to do anything. So feel free to do so. But restaurants right now are trying to adapt, and many are the challenges. They are struggling to digitize their work, to adapt to this new line of business. For example, they don't have tools to try to have a better customer engagement. They still have like the same instruments and means they had 20 years ago. And most of the customer relationship is still face-to-face, one by one. So when I order from a restaurant, it's very important for me to get to know my waiter or the people who will be delivering the food to me. With this new market where you don't know who's gonna deliver what on your doorstep, it's entrepreneurs are feeling stranded. It's a nice market because it offers restaurants a new line of business, but as well big food delivery platforms are taking advantages of the confusion and the chaotic situation restaurants are in right now. So I think that it's important for the restaurant to know that there are other viable options, not only food delivery platform, but they can also do in-house deliveries, which are more profitable in the long run.
Well, and then trying to see the delivery as not only on the emergency that happened during the COVID-19 outbreak. I would like to ask Apollonia, because also she mentioned that delivery for them hasn't been anything new. It's something that they have been developing over the years. So I'm interested in to know in your point of view, Apollonia, on these challenges, and also maybe how have you seen that technology has changed that delivery service for you?
So yes, so Poilâne has been delivering, and it's really been part of our model very early on. When my grandfather started the bakery, we were a neighborhood bakery in an area where the store where you would typically buy coffee and coal for your home started turning into cafes. And so that sort of very organic development made for our very first retailers, which were restaurants. One of Poilâne's, in my father's words, one of Poilâne's unique outlooks on our profession is what he called retro innovation, taking the best of past techniques and the best of new techniques. Bread has been, the thing that I should just add on to this is bread has been a food that has fed human beings like forever. And just to give you an anchor point, in the 1900s, an average French person would eat about just under a kilogram of bread every day. That's about 4 baguettes. That's about half of my loaves, my signature loaves, which are these big hugs of bread. My father really thought of his craft as taking the best of past techniques and new techniques to move forward. So there was and because he was passionate about technology and has passed it on to my generation, there's always this outlook about how do we blend one into the other and how do we greet them. And I think because, and so it's stupid things like, I remember growing up, my father, and this is at this point like 25 years ago, my father implementing an automated order system over the phone. And my father saying, and what seemed to me pretty obvious, I was 10 years old and just couldn't understand the realities that he was facing. He was saying, there's some guys that still have these phones where you have to like press on the dial and turn it around on the phone. Like the newer generations wouldn't even have crossed those things. But so sometimes that legacy, while it nurtures and makes for the distinctive flavor of, in my case, in my bakery, a sourdough, or the distinctive touch and feel of a restaurant, it also sometimes becomes challenging as we move forward. And so for me, whether it's my end customer or a retailer or a restaurant, I think what's complicated is to make sure that we and as consumption patterns change, that we're able to respond and show to people how our products are relevant and or develop new products to share. And to give you one concrete example, as summers are getting hotter, what are the kinds of breads you're going to eat? Because your food evolves and your desire for food, for different foods changes. So you can sit down and do nothing and let your business die, or be proactive about it and say, well, how can I be the partner of restaurants or my clients and nurture their day?
Thank you for that, Apollonia. Well, so here my next question, it's to Filippo. As you have also spoken, Apollonia, about the challenge of getting new technology. So Filippo, how do you monitor all the orders from the different platforms, food delivery platforms that you collaborate with? Do you ever feel like that you need one solution where you have everything united? How has it been that process for Miscusi?
Yeah, so first I want to say that we never relied too much and invested on delivery, into delivery game. What said Bryan is, I agree with him, but for us in Miscusi, delivery accounts for the 5% of the business. So this because the pasta is not that friendly with delivery, and people know how to do pasta at home. And that's why they come to Miscusi. They come because we are in the business of hospitality, as you, Cristina, said. So we are not in the business like a poke or a taco, which can be delivered home. And sometimes if you go to the store, you don't feel that that vibes that you like feel instead of delivery. And the game that we want to play is the hospitality. So people enjoy moment of pleasure when coming to our restaurants, and delivery is not that strategic. But that being said, we are now, so I give you an answer. We are now implementing, and will be ready next October, our ERP system. So via ERP, we're going to collect all the delivery orders to one touch point that will speak the same language in the whole infrastructure. So we want to invest in delivery itself, but we have been studying a way to empower the relationship with the customer via the let's say Miscusi platform. which accounts for different media channels, digital touch points like social media, website, WhatsApp, and to make a real one-to-one interaction. I think that the most important challenge is to own the customer. So the thing is that Deliveroo, Glovo you are their slave, because you don't know really your customer. They share data with you, but you cannot have any kind of real interaction one-to-one, or you cannot do any kind of communication or marketing. So what we're going to do is to build this superpower ERP system that will let us talk with directly to them, and we are building this with a partner, with a technology partner. And this is also because what happened during COVID was the launch of our online bottega. So we started thinking how to reach the customer that couldn't come to the stores. And we said, okay, it was a project since 2019, but we then accelerate during COVID. In 2 weeks, we were ready to deliver pasta and sauces, because pasta is not that friendly when it comes to a ready meal. So we divided in two, and we started to deliver cacio e pepe, carbonara, and all the other sauces, and the pasta itself. And now we are ready to launch the bottega offline. So this what this mean? That we want to interact and to have relationship with the customers in a phygital, let's say, experience. So they can reach us via telephone, very ready to use, and they can come to the stores, make some shopping, and then we will interact with them with the CRM, making not only discounts, but we are thinking about a whole experience in the CRM. So integrating the full experience of the customer. I want to say something about what you were talking about with Bryan, about how the delivery platform interact with the restaurant business. There is a really important example in the United States about a salad chain called Sweetgreen. I think most of you know that leverage on the Uber fleet, but you make the order via Sweetgreen app. So it's a new way to integrate the customers, and you are the direct owner. But of course, we are not in the logistic game, which is really painful, which is really tough. So I think there will be, of course, new way of doing delivery. Owning a proper fleet is really tough game, and is very expensive. But I think it's very smart, the idea of the Sweetgreen founders to leverage on a fleet that is pre-existent, but you make the order via Sweetgreen app.
And within this, I would say new options that restaurants have, no, and businesses like yours have. One other thing about customer engagement that is done in a different way through technology, and maybe this is more specifically my question about your bottega online. How your communication to still connecting with that customer, what role the communication has played? Because you can put now the bottega online and switch it as have it as a business, but how do you integrate that into your communications strategy that is related with engaging those customers?
Yeah, well, I think people knows Miscusi for pasta, and knows Miscusi because they have been coming to us since 2017 from the first store, and they know that if they want a plate of pasta, they know how to reach us and where to go. I think that bottega is something that has been accelerated during COVID. This kind of business, we have never thought about to play in a pure online business. As I said, we are in the hospitality. We are going to open 100, I hope, of stores during the next years. But we need to start investing in technology. And the communication is simple. First of all, the bottega offline will be integrated in the existing restaurants. So will come to us and you will see a restaurant with a grocery store, let's say, and that is something that has been happening during COVID. Most of the restaurants in the United States, a lot of restaurants changed their plan. And since they couldn't make any bucks of turnover, they started to sell wine and to sell all that kind of grocery. The branding, the communication, it comes from the same point. So we do fresh pasta, and you can have that just divided from the sauce. You can have that like in a new experience, but you know how to buy. The grocery store has always been existed in the big distribution, in the biggest distribution of retail. But people since COVID started to buy in the neighbor. So it's a really easy way to access to a new way of retail, reaching producer. So very straightforward, because what we sell is something that you don't find in a normal supermarket. So we want just to say to the customer that we have a simple product, good for you, and you can have that. Let's imagine now we are going to implement in 2 shops, but in Milan and 1 in Turin. But the idea is to integrate in the whole stores, in the whole chain. So you can have a new shop where you can go and you can decide not to stay in, and not because you have fear of COVID, but just because you have a new option to come to your house, come back and make a dinner party with your friends with a good price point. So it's really transparent. It's just a way to rolling back from the kitchen, divide the product, and start selling as a grocery store with the same energy, the same, let's say, purpose of Miscusi since our birth. So we're starting integrating a communication plan. So we in 2 days, I think, yeah, in a few days, we're gonna start and we will be ready. So you will come to Miscusi and you will either choose to stay and dine in, or make your shopping and go home and cook it. So, and it's gonna be very simple. Pasta is really simple. So you just need to boil and to melt with our sauces, which have been studied to be very simple to cook at home. So we're not changing business. We are making the first step to communicate to the customers that we have different options that match their needs, and needs that have been changing very fast and have been really accelerated during COVID.
And Apollonia, I think maybe your example, it's also different in the sort of, there's not maybe that much diversification of bread, because you also have your main product is very classical, and I think also the value of the brand is built on this special sourdough, you know, like signature bread that your family has carried on within generations. So my question is, what do you do to build that brand awareness, and what has been the role of technology and digitalization marketing for your strategy during this last year?
So at Poilâne we do, when people, so you're right, our signature product is this big hug of sourdough bread, which is a country style loaf of wheat bread. At Poilâne we actually have 3 families of products. We have breads, cookies, and pastries. We're present on most channels, B2C, B2B to restaurants, retailers. We also have an online shops for the past 20 years. And in thinking of our talk today, I thought it would be really fun to share things that little factoids that, at post-confinement will seem probably a little funny to most of you guys. Back in 2007, when I came back from university, I went to school in the US. I wanted to implement an order for click and collect. Now, it wouldn't have happened through an app because iPhones didn't exist at that point, but it would have been just by people calling, because we do have customers that call up, and I wanted to institutionalize that, whether it's by phone or through the website. There was zero interest in it. And the funny thing is, while during confinement, we had an explosion of orders through these aggregators of orders, whether it's like épicerie, or well, those may not be as well known in the US, but Deliverart style companies. What's funny is France has been historically slow at adopting these technologies, and what I was hoping was that confinement would help our customers convert our customers. Now, turns out not at all. In fact, since we've deconfined, and this is not just a couple of weeks, this is at this point a month and a half into deconfinement, our customers actually are not, and I've asked to other food stores, have actually diminished their orders through these applications, through these websites. So what I take away from this is a greater message that I actually apply daily when I work in the bakehouse and bake bread. I run the family's business, but I love returning to the bakehouse on weekends because it's a place where I develop my craft and better my understanding. But it really is about adapting to what happens on a day-to-day basis and adapting to the way customers are ordering and how they are, how their habits and desires evolve. My goal and the one I share with my teams is to simplify the routes through which my customers can get our bread, our cookies, our pastries to their homes, their kitchens, the venues of the events they go to, their offices. And I think that I really see technology as an opportunity, but it's also a business. So it's about navigating those two, the opportunity and the fact that you're not the only one seeking after that opportunity.
And within seeking with that opportunity, what are the challenges that you have seen for Poilâne, but also for the restaurants that you usually provide bread to?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge that comes to mind is the equipment. There's this funny thing where we will find across our industry, and I was talking about this last night with the charcutiers, like we have some of our teams and we have some clients that have not adopted in their workplace technologies, and so they will say to you, oh, we don't know how to do this, it's not of our time, we're too old, we're not interested in it, we're fearful of it. And the funny thing is, they all have smartphones. So there's this total schizophrenia between what they actually do and what they say. And I'm giving to you this example because for me, I think it's puzzling, but what it means is that it's like, and my challenge is, well, how do I get my teams, how do I get my customer to see that actually they're fine? It's just about switching their outlook and realizing that they're already hands deep into it, and to fully embrace it and see the opportunity of gaining time, gaining in product freshness, or just living with your time in some ways.
I like this idea about switching the outlook, no, of the situation. And my next question then is to Bryan on switching that outlook, because he has also the experience of, like maybe bringing technology in some of the restaurants. So in today's normal, beyond the challenge of taking on technology, restaurants have different other challenges that we also have seen during the COVID-19 outbreak, no, in Italy, but also in other places around the world. How from maybe from one week to another, restaurants had to shut down also because they weren't sustainable in other ways. What do you think that the role of technology, Bryan, could be or will be in overcoming those challenges?
Okay, first of all, I do thank Apollonia and Filippo for pointing out some of the challenges that restaurants are facing right now. For example, Apollonia, you were talking about equipment. Equipment, it's a really crucial point. Without proper equipment, you can't deliver a proper good to somebody's house. And there are startups that are working in that sense, implementing new technology. Right now, what we're using are like PPC containers. So it's basically a really, really old technology. There's this startup that implemented a self-heating container that will help deliver goods on longer ranges and also for longer times. Longer delivery times. So it's important to see that the technology itself, it's not a harm in the sense that, of course, we're seeing that the way that technology went into a restaurant was kind of an abusive relationship. I'm citing the relationship within food delivery platforms and restaurants, but as well, technology might as well be an opportunity to improve their business, not only on the economic side, but also on the quality side. Technology itself, with solutions like software to manage the orders, this new market, this food delivery market, saw the creation of new jobs, new figures there called food delivery managers. Food delivery managers are people that are 24/7 working in a restaurant, well, not 24/7, but 9 to 5, working in a restaurant to manage the orders. So they are just doing that, and paying somebody just to do that, it's really it's expensive. So technologies need to be seen as an opportunity for the restaurants. They don't have to be. They need also to be used in the correct way. I'm citing also the way there are, for example, in the food delivery sector. I'm always talking about food deliveries because that's what I know. There are new companies that are being born every day with a better food delivery system and not relying only on ordering fees. It's just a new trend that need to be addressed in the proper way. So in my point of view is that in the near future, technology will be a prominent aspect in every restaurant business. So within 10 to 20 years, we're gonna see that everything will change thanks to technology. Everything will be simpler, hopefully, and everything will be easier.
And here's my next question, but for the three of you. Do you see that technology is indissociable from the future of restaurants?
Well, yes, definitely. As I was telling you before, it's something that you cannot avoid. To stay in this fast-changing market, technology will help you navigate, will help you stay afloat, and will guide you through every trend, will guide you through every challenge you're gonna face, and Of course, it's being resilient, it's one thing, but also you need to adapt, and technology will give you a great help in that sense.
Apollonia, Filippo, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll jump in just to echo what Bryan was saying. I'm absolutely on the same wavelength, and to echo what Filippo was saying earlier, I think that if our goal is to make our clients happy, we have to embrace our times, and you know, and that to me echoes just giving them service, and services and technology must work hand in hand. I really see technology as a facilitator of that experience, as a way of elevating what processes that can be just technologized, sorry for lack of a better word right now.
Yeah, I would divide maybe in two. Let's say technology as an enabler, or technology as a solid pillar in the whole infrastructure. There will be restaurants that will play a role like family business. So they're going to, those single players, they will play a role in hospitality. Regardless, technology as an asset of the company, and leveraging on experience, on the food, on the hospitality. Those brands will use technology in, as an enabler of such basic services like social media interaction, like supply. There will be much more platform for restaurants to supply orders from different area of the country. That now, if you think about on how the single restaurants, family business do orders, is really a nightmare. There are restaurants that use pen and paper, and there are basic services, and they will exploit those. Then there is maybe Miscusi, which is a food chain that wants to bring technology into the company, from the founders and CEO to the waiters in the stores, leveraging on those assets, on services. Technology will help us to be more profitable. We are implementing in this ERP also a system to manage the HR shift. So we know better to make it efficient. So technology will be also on the equipment to make more efficient operation in the kitchen. If you think about the technology, not the software, but from an hardware point of view, McDonald's started this trial in the United States, and brought robots in the kitchen. I don't see Miscusi with robots in the kitchen in a few years, and I don't see any kind of robots in the front of house let's say between customers. But I really think that technology from any kind of perspective will be really the pillar, not only for the food industry, but the whole retail. Otherwise, I think there would be a lot of dead business if you don't exploit technology in a positive and in a good way.
And speaking about that businesses and that adapting, like taking on that technology, how do you envisage the restaurant, like the restaurant of the future to look like? So Bryan started to say also like some of the changes, no, in YouTube, but how do you think that the dining experience would be in the future for the customer and for the restaurant owner?
Well, I think that it's gonna the times we're living in are gonna shape deeply the future of the restaurants. I think that it's gonna home deliveries are gonna be big part of a business of a restaurant. For example, right now, 7 to 8 years back, um, the home deliveries accounted for like 20% of a restaurant profit on average. And now we are around 40%. So I think that people, I don't know, but I think that people will go out less, eat at home more, because there's no time. We live in hectic times where you have to do everything on time, on schedule. So you have like 5 minutes to eat something and then back to work again. Or I think that we're seeing with the operations of the big food delivery platform, that they are expanding their business not only on deliveries, but they are also opening virtual kitchens. So and that's a sign of a market that's growing towards that way. I do love eating at a restaurant. It's one of my favorite things to do. But as well, I'm aware that really the food delivery business, it's growing steadily and still growing pretty strong. So I think that in the near future, the restaurant will, yes, have the technologies to deal with that, but also needs to account for the deliveries as a big part of its business in the near future. I don't know what you guys think about it.
Apollonia, Filippo?
Well, I think, as I said before, hospitality will keep its role of giving customer a moment of happiness. So if you ask me what aspect of the dining experience do you believe will change, I start from customers, and I think nothing regarding experience about why, as Bryan said, why you come, because you want a moment of laid back and a moment of happiness. And we do this thanks to our food, our people committed every day to serve those customers. So don't forget that these will always the two pillars, the two assets of the industry: people and food. There will be technology, of course, but waiters will be waiters, and no robots will show up. I think we will also accelerate behaviors that started many years ago. Customer will rely on brands that are 100% purpose driven. So with a mission of making sustainable business good for the people and also good for the planet. So like, let's say, supply will change really a lot. Supply will be fundamental to build a solid and sustainable infrastructure. We will be more than 10 billion people in 20, 30 years from now. So let's say the soil will be the same. We're going to be much more, but the soil will be the same. So new way of supply will emerge and will show up. And I think sustainability and will be biodiversity will be very important, and customer will choose those brands that are sustainable, and they play a role not just to make money or to serve meals, but they play a role. So there will be those kind of behaviors.
No, it's interesting because it's also about continuing the role that restaurant and hospitality has been gaining over the last 10 years. So instead of seeing it dead, how it's evolving from your point of view. Apollonia, would you give us your thoughts?
Yeah, so, and this is a thought that has derived from my working with Refectorio in Paris, which is how we met, Cristina. And so I wanted to offer two views. One is partly dystopian. It's an extreme view where restaurants in the future are one of two kinds. Either you are extremely in need and you go to a restaurant which is a community restaurant that is that serves you a meal as part of both a social connection, but also a place where you can literally feed yourself because you cannot afford it otherwise. And on the other end of the spectrum, there is restaurants that are culinary artistry places where the chefs reveal their talents and their outlook on what is an essential need to feed ourselves. And there's nothing in between. And I had this dystopian view in the early weeks of confinement, thinking, how will restaurants reopen? And a more balanced view is that of a Westerner's understanding of the Japanese food landscape, where a lot of the restaurants are almost private and you wouldn't know about them or wouldn't be admitted into them if you didn't know them. So a view that I could see panning out is where restaurants are the extension of your home, and patrons are where cooks, chefs become essentially private chefs to their patrons, only they're in this place we call currently a restaurant, which they almost they have their phone book of portfolio of clients, and only then practically go to that restaurant. And I see it as a way of developing and nurturing the necessity of eating, the understanding and appreciation that food is actually something that cannot be constantly cost-killed, as a way of also supporting people the same way as we have CSA baskets for fruit and vegetables, but also a more balanced view of where I see chefs really practicing a sort of, I mean, we talk about the culinary arts, and it was just the words that made me think that there probably is something in there. And so more balanced view is what I have in mind as a Japanese inspired restaurant landscape where customers patronize a very small range, if not a single restaurant, where they essentially have the extension of their homes, and where they trust the cook, the chef, that essentially becomes somewhat of a personal chef, only not in your home.
It's a very futuristic view. Thank you for sharing that. My last question to all of you would be, what would be your practical advice if you would have to give one practical advice to someone that is starting their entrepreneurial journey? What would it be? And maybe for Bryan, I would ask it to if you could address it to someone within the hospitality industry, and maybe to Apollonia and Filippo, to someone on the tech industry.
Well, that's a harsh one. When I was running restaurants, I was kind of stuck with my mindset when because I got those restaurants from one of my associates, and basically what happened is I didn't improve anything. I just kept the things the way they were because they were working. And I think I just kind of laid back. I was sure that okay, this is the way things are gonna work, this is how the things work, so I don't have to change anything. And that was a huge mistake by my side. So my advice for me, for someone working in the hospitality, is take some time to analyze what you are doing. Look around, find somebody that does something like you do, but it better, and try to understand why they're doing better than you do. And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because that's how you learn. That's pretty much it.
Thank you for that advice. Poilâne, Filippo, who wants to come next?
I'll jump in so Filippo can finish drinking.
Please go.
I'm comfortably, sorry. Loved your words, Bryan. Totally making good notes of that one. The one thing that comes to mind is picking a sticky note and writing down what feeds me, and put that on your front door so that as you step out every morning, you can, or out of sight of your bedroom, to ask yourself that question and nurture that world.
Thank you. I think that sometimes that we have to go back to the idea that we all eat. We're all also customers of restaurants, or also from our own house, you know, like what is our relation with food?
Yeah, I agree with you. And but what I was just going to add, Cristina, is that actually when I say what feeds you, it doesn't have to be something physical. Like I really see bread as something that nurtures body and mind. And one of my favorite verbs is to nurture. And it's the idea that in my mind and in my world, that it doesn't have to be something that nurtures you physically, even though 100%, like if we don't eat, we're never going to get to the next level on the Maslow's pyramid.
Yeah. Filippo?
Well, I would say two practical advice. Maybe start thinking about how to leverage on data and technology from day one. Don't postpone too much, because at certain time will be a pain. And the second one, which is more practical, is stay into the business, stay into the operational business, look to the customers, observe them, and which are their needs, what is going good, what's not going good. An example really important for me in my experience in Miscusi is that we have been collecting more than 50,000 NPS. I don't know if you know the Net Promoter Score, which gives you an idea of. So you ask to a customers, how would you suggest Miscusi to another customers from 1 to 10? And so there are promoters, neutral, and detractors. We are, I think, one of the top performers in Italy in the industry. A very good level is about 55%, and so it's just a matter of how was your experience. You start collecting data, not just for a matter of data itself, but because you can intervene in the business and change things that are not going good. Staying more on the brand, staying more at a high level. Another advice is to stay in this business only if you love it 100%, and if you are ready to give back something to the planet, if you are ready to really make an impact. Otherwise, I think it's not the journey we should go through in 2020 when we make food.
Okay, so I think that everyone, I wanted to thank all the people, all the participants, and of course to Filippo, Apollonia, and Bryan, and also Max and the team of Forward Fooding that have been coordinating and organizing this webinar for us. Thank you very much. I think that we go with some inspired thoughts about the future in a difficult moment, because everything is changing, but it's been very good to exchange visions on what the future might look like, and also from entrepreneurs like you being on the field.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again for coming.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Cristina, for bringing us together and sharing the moment.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.